Here we go. So does it start to feel tight from in this area? You feel that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she has an usher here, right? So what we're going to do is when we're going to needle
for chiseling.
is we're going to, I want to be able to get it just in the surface. And you can actually see just pressing kind of turns it a little red, right? So we're going to come in. That's it. It's not in far. And then from here, we're going to chisel. It moves from the whole arm down. So I'm moving between. Feel that's a little tight there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not deep.
It's not deep, but it's strong. The feeling, the chi sensation.
Kind of goes into the area where you can feel kind of the sinews bind, right, in your arm. Yeah.
It feels good, actually.
Yeah. So you can either leave the needle in or you can remove it if it's wind right and go to the next point with it. We'll just leave that here so you can see some of the points I've needled, and then we'll remove. So here we go.
And you were saying earlier when you were demoing on another person about wrinkling the skin or something?
So for example, say if it's tough to get it tight here and I need to, the muscle, I can't get my finger underneath to push in. What I'll do is I'll push back on the skin, right? And then from here, see how I push back? It gives me a back stop. Now I can needle in. Not so bad, right? And then I can tighten it. So I'm going around wherever it's tight and I'm chiseling to open it up. So this is chiseling. This isn't twirling. This is just chiseling.
Is it still in the muscle layer? It feels like you're needling into the joints.
Yeah, but if you notice, watch this. If I show you guys, that's how much needle is in her skin, right? So very, very, very little bit. And it's also like this, right? It's flat. It's very transverse across the skin, right? So it's not really going deep. It's staying just right in that very surface area where it's being needled, right? And then after you're done here, you would go to the Jingwell. So if it's Taiyang, right, on extension, pump the Jingwell. You would mox to the Jingwell until she says hot. When she feels it hot, then very simply, you just needle. Done. That's it. And the needle sit for 20 minutes or 15 minutes or 10 minutes or however long it took for you to do the sinew release. Then say if it took 10 minutes, then these needles might only sit in her for another 10 or 15 minutes and she's done.
And you said something about the 28 minutes? What
So
was
in
that?
total, probably the idea is that, so if you divide the circulations of Wei Qi in the body, it comes out to be about 28 minutes is like through one channel system, through like the hands, you know, the hand Taiyang channel or the foot Taiyang channel or whatever. So the idea is that you leave the needles in for a period of about 20 to 30 minutes, because if you can leave them in for one circulation through one channel, it's enough to affect the circulation overall of the sinew channels in general to change that injury.
So I've had this for years. How long do you recommend me to come back next time? Or
I would watch to see what, when you return, I would probably try to get you back again this week and then try to see how it's responded.
So
and then
once
from
a
there,
week?
Possibly, but I would try to, probably the first week, I'd probably try to get you in twice just to see how it responded, right? I want that feedback.
I see.
And then from there, we can then see, because again, you can needle, it can feel better, you go home and then it tightens up again, right? And you see this in a lot of different people who do a lot of different needling techniques, right? And they go, oh, well, it feels great. Oh, that's great. But then it tightens up because all they've done is moved the pain to somewhere else, but then it comes back, right? And then it comes back. Our goal is to open up the channel in the sinew layer to clear it out, right? And you may be using, say, well, that's one of the points about, like, if you're using a primary channel to treat a sinew channel, then you may be actually translocating that issue, that wind cold, into the primary channel for a period of time, and the primary channel finally says, I don't want this, and pushes it back to the sinew channel, right? You're not actually getting it out, so this is the reason why.
So the sinew channel actually doesn't have any points.
No
so
points.
You have to be very sensitive to palpate like where you want to needle the Ashi needle. How do you practice the sensitivity of your finger?
So one of the things is that you can feel a couple things. Like when I press at the very surface of the skin, see how that moves? So I can tell where the connective tissue, where the basically what we call the sinew channels are moving. Oh, stomach's gurgling. Good. So we're activating young men.
Afternoon tea time.
Yeah. So this is this movement. So if you find an area where like this is moving a lot, and then you find an area where it's not moving so much, right? It's kind of bound up. I might needle that area, right? So if I'm here, this isn't moving that much. Feel that's kind of tighter, just the surface of the skin. So that might be bound over this. So I can needle this in a dispersing manner through chiseling, and then suddenly this will get looser like this, right? And so that's one thing. The other thing is you press through a little bit. Before, this is much softer now. You see how I feel it? But before, when I pressed, it was an Ashi point, right? Doesn't. What about now?
No.
No.
Is it the same point?
Yeah,
Your needle?
same point on needle. So you can feel how much, if you were here, you could feel how much the whole area softened up, because the area in Guan here, the outer gate, Sanjiao 6 on our arm, or Sanjiao 5 on our arm, I forget numbers now. This point was tight before, and it connected into the wrist. But now, it's much, much softer. And that was really quick. What's that? Needle stayed in for all of, what, a minute and a half, right? So you can see the differences, but you have to do the sinew release. Some people try to speed it up, and they say, oh, I'm just going to cup Mingmen and Daijue. It's not the same thing. You can get an effect because you're moving qi and blood, right? But it's not the same thing. So you really need to do the sinew releases to their fullness, especially Mingmen and Daijue, the do 4 and do 14. Even if you don't do anything else, those really have to be done, because that's the movement of yang out into the arm and the leg sinews, regardless of what they are.
Okay.